We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by
Morning. I'm Reverend Paul Beckel. Welcome to Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship, where the Spirit sings, and where we nurture spiritual growth and stand together through times of challenge and celebration. Today, we gather to celebrate the milestone of high school graduation for Charlie Goggin and Liam Reynolds, with our traditional bridging ceremony. Before we go on, I want to let you know that BUF programs continue throughout the week. Tomorrow night, we have a meeting with the Black Lives Matter organizational group, and you can find information on that in our BUF.org midweek update, which is at BUF.org. Also, at the order of service announcements, which are on BUF.org. Tomorrow night also is our monthly Taizé service. It's on the first Monday of each night. Both of these meetings are at 7 p.m., and you can find the link on buf.org. One last thing about staying in touch. Starting next week, we will be having our weekly midweek update only every other week. So there will be no midweek update next Wednesday, and then it'll continue throughout the summer every other Wednesday. It is time now to take a deep breath together. As one period of our lives comes to a close before the next one begins. And with that deep breath, we have just what we will need to join together in song.
Okay. Hello, I'm Charlie Goggin, and I'll say a few words while Liam lights the chalice. So, this flame is mine, as well as yours. We are brought together on this day, called to growth, to expansion within its glow. What does your heart know while beholding this holy fire? And now we'll say the covenant. Yeah, feel free to say it with us. So, love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant. All right.
All right, I'm Liam Reynolds, and I'm going to be doing our E-Racism Minute today. I first became aware of the Black Lives Matter movement when I was in 8th grade. I remember being very confused. Hadn't my years at BUF taught me that all lives mattered? I thought that was the point. I was confused by this for a long time, and I know that a lot of my peers were too. But over time, I learned a lot more about the world. I listened to the voices and read the words of more and more and more people who had less privilege or different privilege than I did. I learned that many lives were not treated with the same value as mine. It was really scary to realize that my view of the world was wildly inaccurate. But I have come to know that all lives mattering is the goal, even if it's not where we're at right now. And right now, many lives are treated as though they don't matter. It's hard to accept that your privileges aren't universal, and that some people have certain things harder than you. But that doesn't make it any less necessary in the struggle for our universal liberation.
Thank you, Liam, for that anti-racism message. I'm going to screen share some photos. Good morning. I'm Kevin Allen Schmid, the music director here at BUF. And this is the time of year that we traditionally celebrate our choir finale. And all the vocal groups and soloists and instrumentalists at BUF have a chance to share their greatest hits from the year in a full service of music before they take the summer off. Well, we haven't been able to do that because we've been doing most of our work digitally. So we're going to have a digital choir finale. And I'm going back to when COVID struck. March 15th, 2020 was our first Sunday from Zoom, via Zoom. And we're getting to the end of that. This is going to be one of the last, I hope. We started setting up music studios at home, and Melanie and Andrea and I would lead songs, and you sang along. Of course, you had to mute yourselves. So this thing about making music together, but not being able to hear each other, was a challenge. How do we continue to make music together if we can't hear each other? And so we came up with a number of ways. It was March, and it was time for us to, the choir and BUF, to be holding a fundraiser. And so we decided we'd go ahead, we'd have the Spring Fling. And we just did it by having individuals record themselves at home or make their offerings in video form, and then we could zoom out the program. And one of the musical numbers was Michael Barris and Ann Stevenson singing Runaway. Okay? So there you see. The Spring Fling also had art recreations. This was genius, great idea. And you would take a favorite painting and you would recreate it with your camera. And so we had just wonderful new versions of classic paintings. It was quite a success, so it gave us confidence that, yes, our congregation can enjoy the gifts of each other, music and art and otherwise, if they are combined from each individual digitally and then put together into a show. Everybody said, why don't you do a virtual choir? I mean, everybody sent me links to their favorite virtual choirs. Eric Whitaker had been doing that for years. And so I said, okay. And since we didn't have a way of singing in person, I asked singing together, I asked each person to record themselves at home. And we got singers from the entire county, because we did this as a countywide virtual choir on behalf of the Interfaith Coalition. And it's a mammoth undertaking. People making their suggestions, why don't you do a virtual choir? Maybe had no idea. It takes hundreds of hours, lots of money, lots of confidence building, and just incredible effort. This video that you saw before the service of Bright Morning Stars Are Rising was a great success as far as something you can watch. But it kind of underlined to the singers that they did it alone. And it wasn't choir as we know it. It's digital choir. Summer came around, and we were just missing each other too much. Even though we couldn't be with each other, we wanted to be singing and seeing each other. So we instituted a weekly program called the BUF Happy Hour of music and poetry, and had 10 Wednesday programs, and individuals filmed themselves, like Ellie Friedlob here singing Embraceable You with the help of Andrew Schomburg and Recombinant Tracks. They're a great duo. So this is one of the numbers that we had from the musical side that we did throughout the summer. Fall rolled around, it's September. The choir wants to sing We Are One. How do we do that? So we took a video of the 2019 choir, which you can see in the main part of the picture. And at home, we sang along. We sang We Are One. We all sang. The choir was all there. We all sang, full-throated, but muted. So you see us. You see each face, because we zoomed in. There we all are. But what you heard was the 2019 choir recording while we lip-synced, right? I mean, we weren't lip-syncing, we were actually singing. But call that what you may. So still, it's not so satisfying. We just wanted to sing in person, and how can we do that safely? We decided that up to 5 people could meet outdoors, socially distanced, with masks on. And we called those outdoor singing pods. We started at the community college. They kicked us out. So we ended up in the back here at BUF, and Mark Allen, bless his heart, he came and filmed us week after week after week. We had over 30 people doing this in groups of 5. There's one singing Farthest Field. There's one singing a song called Hope. These are outdoor singing pods, OSPs for short. Here was everybody's favorite, the side-by-side, king of the road, outdoor singing pod. Debu taught us to sing a song, Vaishnava Janato, which was really fun. So we were actually singing in person, beside each other, and it was hard to get the people to move out of the space. I mean, we said you can practice for 25 minutes, then you have to move to another space so the air can clear out. But they wouldn't move, they just kept talking. Christmas rolled around, you got to do something big. I said, let's do something big. Let's sing the Hallelujah Chorus with the Mormon Tabernacle Choir and orchestra in Temple Square. Okay, so there they are, video started. There we are, singing along, full voice. Look at the little corner of each screen, muted. But we did sing. We had sectionals. We practiced. We worked up the parts. We sang our parts as well as we could. We heard ourselves sing, and we heard the tab choir. And you out there in Zoom land, you thought, wow, that BUF choir never sounded so good. It got dark and cold. We didn't want to do the outdoor singing pods anymore. So like after Christmas, we started just soliciting special music from people to film on their own. And here's Matt and Allegra doing a guitar and violin duet. Here's Reika Zoltan doing a zither solo. I tried various experiments doing duets with myself, singing and playing a piano duet. Like I say, you do it, and then you can see it, and then it's strangely not satisfying, although it's interesting. This was real. Evie, as you saw, the soloist with the Bright Morning Stars, agreed to come in here to BUF. I played for her, and we recorded 4 songs, her favorite songs, that we then shared during our Martin Luther King service in January. This one, she's singing Give Me Jesus. And I've listened to this 100 times since then, because it's just what I need sometimes. The Ten Hoves, Reverend Barbara and Reverend Jocko, they are always ready, and they have a website full of songs that are pre-recorded that we can use, and we have used, and they do live singing as well. They're leading a session at Elliott this summer, and Barbara herself just performed for the All Souls Unitarian in New York City this morning. So we have some real digital presence. We thought, how can we get the people actually together? Because that's the thing. This digital thing is so alone. So let's have a love fest outside for Valentine's Day. And we'll sell chocolate, and we'll do kids' activities and everything. Okay, that was fine, except we had a foot of snow. Some of us diehards from Montana, we just went ahead. This is Beth Fuller singing On the Street Where You Live. We wanted to do it again, you know, when people might come, and so we planned it for a month later. It was raining. This is Love Fest #2. There's Lisa Moss singing Button Up Your Overcoat. We started calling these our porch events, and because it's out on the porch. And we invited people to come and just kind of come up to the table when it was free and take a mic and sing open mic. And each event, as the weather got better, got more attendance as well. Twist My Arm, do another virtual choir. It was time for the Interfaith Music Festival, so a song, We Shall Be Known, we thought was the right message that would draw the community together. And our choir is so accustomed to singing together with the other choirs in the county that we wanted to do that. And we invited singers from each of the 40-member congregations of the Interfaith Coalition to join in this virtual choir, which they did. We had over 50 singers, and it was a fundraiser, as the live music festival always is. And it's just part of a 40-minute festival film, which the Interfaith Coalition is yet to launch for the public. Some of you have seen it. But in that film, there are photos and music from every single one of the 40 congregations that work together in Whatcom County to alleviate homelessness. And our choir, so many of them, they went to each of those churches and knocked on the door and called until somebody would say, okay, we can participate. So in this virtual format, we actually had participation from every single one of the 40 congregations in this festival. And that had never happened with the live festival. So that was like a good side of having something digital. We heard that it was going to be Rick Herman's 70th birthday, and Lee asked if the choir wanted to send their best wishes. I said, why don't we just have a whole choir celebration of his birthday? And people read poems and sang songs, and that was in March, I think. This was the latest in-person, county-wide effort. At the Totem Pole send-off a couple weeks ago, we formed a choir. A lot of these people that did the virtual choirs, they were just busting out to actually come and be there in person with their body and sing. And we did it there downtown at the Waypoint Park and sang the song, Stand By Me. A lot of you were there. Thanks to BUF for helping that event happen, especially Deb Cruz. There should be one more picture. Yeah. So today, we have an ensemble that's going to be singing Turn the World Around. It's a third ensemble like that have practiced here in the sanctuary a couple Wednesdays and then performed for services. And so today is the third and final one, and it will be the end of the service. You'll see this ensemble. And it has been nice for us to be able to actually sing together and hear each other. So wait for that. Before I go, I want to thank everyone who helped us get through the pandemic, especially Melanie Reed, keyboard artist and choir assistant, and Andrea Rackel at the other piano. Our sound crew and tech crew, Andrew Schomburg, Mark Allen, Jeff Copeland, Kai, who's now left us but replaced by Walt Ellis. They are making this all happen. Special thanks to Mark Allen for making all those videos. Give a big round of applause. Man. We have our treble voices director, Karen Fitzgerald, and section leader, Ruth Ann Hanlon. The BUF Choir Committee, Ellie Friedlob, Cindy Pfeiffer-Hoyt, Carol Smith, and Carl Nyblade. Always just figuring out what can we do? How can we do it safely? The BUF staff, Paul, Genia, Kathy, Sue, all the time, promoting and assisting us to be safe and to sing. And the BUF Task Force and Board of Trustees, thank you for helping us keep the music alive at BUF during this pandemic. The next thing you're going to see is you're going to come yourself and sit in the pews like these 30-some people are right now. And the choir's going to be up here, and we're going to be singing, We Are One, with no masks on, I hope and pray, on September 12th for the in-gathering service. See you then.
You know, Kevin is an extraordinary human being, and this has been an extraordinary year, and I think we all owe Kevin and Gina and Paul and the whole staff here all of our love and appreciation, because this has been really hard, and they have been beautiful. Thank you. So I'm Barbara Wells Tenhove, the Reverend Dr. Barbara Wells Tenhove. I don't use that very often, but I'm grateful to be here today as a part of the bridging ceremony. Like our bridgers, I grew up Unitarian Universalist, but unlike for you, there was no bridging ceremony for me back in my day, because, in fact, the bridging service was created right here in the Pacific Northwest in the 1990s by youth and young adults and their families who said, you know, we need something, some important ceremony that acknowledges this important transition from youth into adulthood, instead of just sort of saying, bye-bye, see you later, which is kind of what happened to me. Now, most Unitarian Universalist congregations do something like this sometime in the late spring, and it's just a beautiful thing. What I often find most moving about this ceremony is the acknowledgement of the parents, and the ways that they have nurtured you into adulthood. Your parents know that you are a part of a great story, a story that began long ago and will hopefully continue far into the future. And while the stories, our family stories, can be challenging and at times sad, there's also joy and blessing to be found in many ways as we grow and evolve into adulthood. And I was lucky enough to have a mother who understood this. And many years ago, she wrote a poem that speaks quite lovingly but honestly about family. And it uses music as a metaphor, and since today is also Choir Sunday, it seemed right to share it. It's called Blessing, and it was written in 2000 by the late Rawleen Wells, my mother. This family makes very special music. Each note of its great song is very true. Pure is not the word that best describes us, and even melody gets lost sometimes. But each of us has helped to write the music, and everyone who's here adds their own note. And though the harmony may not be perfect, the song that we create is worthwhile. So let us keep on making our own music, because our voices must create a song. All who came before us left their singing. Listen, you can hear them. So can I. Bridgers and families, may you be blessed in the ways you make music, real and metaphorical, creating your own song as you move forward through time. And let us create some real music right now by singing together hymn number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere. And as we sing, let's remember that there is always more love, hope, peace, and joy to be found as we go forward. But we have to keep on until we find it. And please rise. You don't need to look at your books, because the words are super easy, and I'll tell you what they are. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm going to keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. Let's not slow down. There's more hope. There is
We are moving now into the bridging portion of the service because today is the choir finale and the bridging. And we're starting with Charlie Goggins, a slideshow of her art that you are going to see on the screen, accompanied by, no, I think it's some music, accompanied by some music.
I want to sing a song for you that some of you may have heard. When she was a tiny baby, we used to sing this to her, and when she got a little bit bigger, then she started to join us, and now it's kind of a family song.
This pretty planet, turning through space, your garden, your harbor, your holy place.
This pretty planet,
sun
turning
going
through
down,
Your
gentle
garden,
blue
your
giant,
harbor, your
turn us
holy
around.
place.
All through the
sun going
night,
down, gentle
safe
blue
till
giant,
the
turn us
morning
around.
light. All through the night, safe till the morning light.
This pretty planet, turning through space, you're a garden, you're a harbor, you're a holy place.
This pretty
Golden
planet,
sun
turning through
going
space,
down,
your
gentle
garden,
blue
your harbor,
giant,
your
turn
holy
us
place.
around.
Golden sun going down, gentle
safe
blue
till
giant,
the
turn us
morning
around.
light.
All through the night, safe till the morning light.
Donaldson, and I was honored, down, I was honored to be Charlie's mentor 2016 and 2017. And mentoring Charlie was quite thought-provoking and great fun. Charlie is a quiet study, but once you get connected in a meaningful way, Wow. The personality that emerges is so complex and engaging. The first thing that you learn is that Charlie is a visual person, we just saw that, who puts the world she sees and the ones she imagines on paper or canvas. She has her own special lens and style. She also has a mind that goes beyond the surface to the deeper questions at hand and offers up observations and solutions, both in group discussion and private talks. She's the team player who contributes to group efforts and has fun doing it. Charlie is also a caring person with a deep love of family, animals, and nature as a whole. Last but not least, Charlie has a wicked and sophisticated sense of humor. Wicked in its complexity, but never mean or deprecating. In her credo statement, she said, "For me, life is like a roller coaster because it may be scary, but you shouldn't be afraid of it because what's the worst that could happen? Oh, actually, there's a lot of things that could go horribly wrong, but the person running the ride said that they are very unlikely. So just have fun and make the most of it. I hope to keep evolving and changing for the better. So on your lovely roller coaster ride of the future, my dear, I send you blessings. And it's gifts from the congregation to remind you of your time growing in this loving community.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Genia Allen Schmidt, the Director of Lifelong Learning. Charlie is a talented, a gifted artist. She dances, she draws, she sings, and she acts. I remember going over to the Goggins house when she was just in middle school, and the house was strewn with all her drawings and sketches. She based a lot of her images on Japanese anime pictures. I also remember her dancing in front of a big TV screen with a computer program, and she would do these fast, complex moves just perfectly, really nailing it. I was totally amazed. Now, as Charlie has grown, she's really developed her very own artistic style and her own dance moves. Being an artist takes a lot of bravery. You're putting yourself out there for the world to see and to judge. It really takes a lot of guts. I admire Charlie for putting herself out there, and I admire her for her great natural talent. But more than that, I admire the way she's really worked hard to develop her skills and create her very own style. I really look forward to seeing Charlie grow even further as she moves out into the world. I can't see the art she will make.
I'm Colin Goggin, and I just want to take, oh, here, wait one second. I just want to take a moment to appreciate you, Charlie, as you bridge into adulthood. I want to appreciate your heart, your mind, and your creativity. You have a heart that really can have a knack for identifying the suffering of others. And you have that desire to ease that suffering and the ability to do it. Your mind, while able to discern, when there is falsehood and avoid that, You're always open to new ideas. And your boundless creativity, you found a great way to express that by honing your painting ability and your and you've also developed such musical talent. You have what it takes to contribute, to thrive, and and to to just be the sweet daughter that I love so much. I love you so much, and I am so proud of you.
And, and of course, I mean, your dad and I are just, I mean, beyond proud. This has been a hard year, right? And this is, it just shows your constitution and your perseverance, you know, to come through this year. And as we watch your amazing, amazing character unfold and you grow as a person, it just fills me with such love, and we're exceptionally proud of you. Just can't wait to see what happens in the life, what's about to happen in life. So we have something for you.
Now it's time for us to present a rose. In the UU tradition, we welcome babies into our church community by presenting them with a closed rosebud with a stem stripped of its thorns. The idea there is that the bud unfolds petal by petal, like your life unfolds. The thorns are stripped away, symbolizing our efforts to protect you as you grow.
And now here you are on the outer edge of childhood. And once again, we're coming back to the rose. It's not the tiny, tight bud of childhood and babyhood, but it's a larger, more beautifully developed rose. And this one is a little different because this rose actually comes with thorns.
As parents, we can no longer keep you in a protective bubble and hold away the ups and downs of adulthood any more than we could keep the buds from opening into beautiful flowers. Thorns happen. What you can control is your reaction to the thorns. We urge you to use the thorns of life as opportunities to discover your hidden superpowers.
The bumps in the road might just be trampolines for growth. And in the times of greatest challenge, that's really where we find our inner strength. And my mom always told me to take time to smell the roses. And I give you the same very good advice. Don't avoid roses because of thorns. Embrace your life fully and look for the growth from the hard stuff and savor all the wonderful times that the future has in store for you as the adventure of your life unfolds.
I'm Liam Reynolds. I'm back up here, and it's time for my bridging ceremony. I've been at BUF for 18-ish years now, a little more than that. And from that time, I can concretely say that the Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship is the finest distributor of free cookies that I have ever been to. You see, the cookies here, they're a little more than just cookies. They come with a bunch of fun activities. Years of RE, getting to meet lots of people, forming all sorts of crazy connections with people who I never would have otherwise met of all ages. Sitting in the sanctuary like you guys are now while I'm up here. Drawing rocket ships on the little sketch pads. Doing childcare, getting to learn how to deal with children who are younger than me and parents who are older than me. Doing 3 different sessions of OWL, learning about all sorts of uncomfortable topics that I fortunately didn't have to talk to my parents about. Love you guys. The coming of age program when I was in late middle school, where I got to spend time with Rick and the other coming of age members and learn a lot more about my peers and myself and what I believed. Beyond that, there was the Dungeons and Dragons group, where I spent literally hundreds of hours leading a bunch of people in crazy adventures and getting used to being more of a leadership figure, which was something that I used to be really scared of. Working at BUF, doing childcare again, doing dishes, doing construction, doing painting, doing food prep, selling food, you name it. I've probably done it here. You see, the cookies at BUF were more than just cookies. They had lessons with them, too. I learned how to put up drywall. I learned how to tape up drywall. I learned how to texture drywall. And I learned how to paint that drywall. But I also learned other things. I learned how to explore my own spirituality, which has been a journey ranging from existential nihilism to, I don't know, man, which is more or less where I'm at right now. But the important part is that I learned that it was okay to explore it and to not know where I was right now, man. So, in conclusion, those were some darn good cookies. And they had a lot of fun secrets in them. And now, our wonderful Kevin Allen Schmidt is playing the Merry-Go-Round of Life, which is possibly my favorite song of all time. And whenever I hear it, I feel nothing but joy bubbling up inside me.
Hi, I'm Rick Steele, and it's hard to believe that it was 4 years ago that I stood up here with Liam at the end of the Coming of Age program, explaining how much we had learned from each other and how I expected going into the mentorship program to be sharing all this wisdom with Liam and not get much back. Boy, was I wrong. It was the exact opposite. I felt like I was hardly sharing anything with Liam of any, wisdom, and I gained multitudes of it. So thank you, Liam. And that mentoring that he's done for me has continued through the years. It continued as actually Kat and Ro and I taught YRUU. And through that, was able to see how Liam grew during that time, and also how he was always there. I mean, every Sunday. Now, it did help that Dungeons and Dragons was finished up just a half hour before YRUU, but nonetheless, he was there and he shared. He shared very deeply and effectively. And it was stunning to me to hear. As we moved into junior year, I was no longer teaching. And so mainly we were keeping up with our chats during, it must have been over cookies, at coffee hour, towards the end of coffee hour, because you would not be busy with things and could take time to chat. And that's when we were able to catch up. And I was really appreciating that. Then this last year, a little over a year now, we had to shift gears because we couldn't be in person anymore. And so we wound up Zooming. And that, actually, I loved it because we were, it was just one-on-one with no distractions. And so it was just so much more to learn. In particular, there was a time when Liam had a friend who was going through a very hard time at home and figuring out life, and to see how much Liam cared and was so concerned and wanted to do everything that he could to help just shows that side of him. Talents. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you composed that piece. Is that right? Oh, he did not. Okay. Well, then I am wrong. I should have kept my mouth shut. Anyway. But he is a composer. He has composed, and he's an excellent pianist, as we saw during the Coming of Age program. Excellent runner. Unfortunately, you had to accept limitations on the running due to an injury, but that was quite character building as well. Imagination. I mean, I sat in on a Dungeons and Dragons session where Liam was leading the table. And I cannot picture being able to grasp all what was going on that he could just see vividly in his mind and share with his others, teammates, or whatever you call yourselves, that, no, that's not there, that's over here. No, you can do this, you can't do that. He has a keen intellect. I feel like down here compared to that. And as I said, he's extremely compassionate, and as we've witnessed, he's developed quite an ability at public speaking. So I'm very much looking forward to watching you, Liam, grow, spread your wings, and blossom based on the thought.
I'm Kat McIntyre, and I'm one of the YRUU teachers. I was honored that Liam asked me to speak on his behalf. It has been a joy to get to know him. I have no children of my own, but I get the best kids in the world in YRUU. I met Liam, I think, in his freshman year when we were doing Star Wars as our theme in YRUU. And Liam was a little bit more mature, perhaps, than the others, but I remember him being a very careful observer of what we were doing in the Star Wars program, and but he's very independent, and he's a critical thinker who voiced his opinions, his deeply thought out opinions about how Star Wars heroes fall short of ideal heroes. His sophomore year, I got to know him even better. I did hear him many times play the piano, sometimes down in the lower level by the coffee hour, and sometimes up here. He was willing to play for the whole congregation during one of the services that we helped put on. His day started even earlier than the services because he comes and works in the kitchen, and he's reliable in that. He can tell you how many coffee cups the UU congregation uses, but he never complains. Halfway through his junior year, the pandemic hit, and when we were able to start YRUU on Zoom, Liam was the first to show up and to be a leader, including Christmas cookie baking, and finally a couple of in-person meetings this year. I hear he is a very good student. I know he persevered at learning French. I'm not surprised to know he has been accepted into a very competitive program at the University of Washington, my alma mater. I know he will succeed at whatever he puts his mind to. And I hope that he knows that any time that he comes back to BUF as a young adult, he will find love and acceptance. And this is on behalf of the congregation.
So I'm Roz, I'm Liam's mom. And as Colin and Sunny explained about the metaphor of the rose and how this rose has thorns, I don't have to go through that again, but I did notice that when Liam was about 5 and had his child dedication ceremony, the rose that he got was a very sort of domesticated, perfect grocery store little rose. And this one, I don't know if you can see, but it's much more of a wild type rose that you might find actually growing out in the wild somewhere. And I thought that was really, really apt for this because, Liam, you've always from a young age been very logical and reliable. That's a word that's been said a few times this morning. And safety conscious. You've always done a great job making sure your younger siblings don't wander too close to the edge of the cliff or the side of the boat. And when I look at this rose, it reminds me that one of my wishes for you is that now you'll get a chance to go a little bit wild. Within reason, obviously. Because, so I wish for you more adventures and less drywall.
You will always have employment in your future, and not just for drywall, but your willingness to think things through. You are so articulate. You are so empathetic, so clever. And smart people get along with you because they understand where your sarcasm comes from. Your sarcasm comes from an innate sense of being able to see inequity and injustice. And I think that is an important part of your character, and it informs your sense of empathy. It informs the people around you that they are also responsible for the world they live in. it's one of the many things that makes me so proud of you.
Charlie and Liam, we are so excited for you to be getting out of high school and onto your next adventure in life. We are sending you a lot of love, and we thought we would do it in the form of a song. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. Get your fill to eat, yet always keep that hunger. And that each new day feels full of sweet potential. And you wake up in the morning feeling grateful. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Let your inner goodness grow and take a chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might mean taking chances, but they're worth taking. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Don't let life's up and downs leave you bitter. When you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the roses more than just a passing glance. Smell them. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance.
Our ability to join in this way to cope with change and to celebrate the passages of our lives is possible because of the generous contributions of all of our volunteers, musicians, tech support, planning, and organization behind the scenes. Our ability to join together to press forward in our quest for equality is possible because of our growing relationships with community partners by our own ministry action teams. Speaking of which, a correction to the announcement I made earlier, the Black Lives Matter Ministry Action Team meets at 6 tomorrow night, so after you join with them, there will be time to go to Taizé. So, it takes all of us in all of our own ways, including, of course, financial contributions. And so at this time, I invite you to give generously to support the work that we do at the Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. You can go to buf.org and click donate. You can use the Give Plus phone app, or you can mail us a check to our street address. And I thank you so much for making the work that we do together possible. a blessing for bridging, and I invite all of those of you out in Zoom land to join us as well. The words will be on the screen. Charlie and Liam, as you step forward into your next chapter, we send with you our fondest hopes and blessings.
May life bring enough challenge to fuel your dreams, enough affirmation to honor your gifts, and enough nurture to give your spirit peace. Believe in your vision, follow your dreams, and know always that when you return to us, here you will find the hands of friends.
We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See me one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See me one another
life. Oh, so is life. So is life. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. So is life. Oh, so is life. So is life. Blessings, blessings. Your presence with us today on Zoom is a blessing. You who are here for the first time with us are a blessing. Charlie and Liam, you have been and shall be a blessing to the world. As you go forward now, whatever you discover your gifts to be, and every new decade, as you discover new challenges and opportunities, choose to bless the world. Choose to bless the world, digging deep to find hope, reaching wide to embrace love, and circling together always for freedom. And let's sing together, circle around for freedom. Circle